Hold on for a second. What's up, YouTube family? I would like you guys to make sure you like and subscribe to our video. It would help us get into the algorithms so we could be seen and bring more engaging content to you guys. So like I said, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Appreciate you. To another edition of the Pick and Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zhu and Peebush. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's back to snowy weather in Chicago starting tomorrow. March, man, just that time of year. But we got a couple more weeks, gentlemen, and then we got March Madness. I'm in full college basketball mode right now. A lot of analytics. Yeah, a little NBA sprinkled in there as well, and we got NFL free agency to talk about, but this next month, man, goes to the NCAA.
Absolutely. I already got two names tickered out. Kind of some obvious picks, one more obvious pick, and one a little low key, but they're rising up the rankings. So I don't think they're going to be too low key at the end of the regular season. But man, oh man, I'm just excited for March Madness. Like, I'm not gonna lie, NBA right now, Chicago Bulls are very, very brutal. So I'm telling you, man. They lose all these games, but then when they play the teams that are kind of worse than them, they keep beating them. So not doing much for the draft lottery odds, man. In college basketball, there's a couple of stars that you just need to get one of these stars. Man. That's how an NBA is. You need to just get one. After that, you work from there, but you need one to get the boat rolling.
Absolutely.
I will say, I know we have our upper echelon, like Cooper Flag obviously is the clear cut. And then we have Dylan and Ace. But if you've been watching college basketball, like I said, I think everybody's doing like their ramp up period. And when I say I'm watching college basketball, I'm not watching full games. I'm just watching like halves, maybe, and I'm watching highlights.
Yep.
But the VJ Edgecombe dude from Baylor, his profile is pretty insane. He's nice. He's super nice. So again, I think, and I don't know where they are tournament wise, like if they're even eligible. Maybe they are. But we're going to see a lot of guys. That's the cool thing about March Madness. You're going to see a lot of guys that, are going to be probably firmly in the NBA lottery, but they may rise because of how they play in the tournament. And that's the most, to me, one of the many factors of why March Madness is just
the Kemba Walker.
It's so great.
That's the Kemba Walker path right there, man.
Get you a contract while playing. You know who really, I think did that the best was Shabazz Napier. Like, wasn't he a first round pick?
First round
pick.
Being
a first round pick.
Just off of Miami Heat.
Yeah, LeBron wanted him to play with the Heat. Yeah. Watch your March Madness. Yeah, so it's like you could improve your stock a lot. So, like I said, March Madness is goated. I love this time of the year. But like I said, NBA is still a focus, and we're going to kind of get into things that could be happening in the playoffs because, like I said, once March Madness is over, it's playoff time in the NBA. So, two of the top teams in the East and the West with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have their stars, of course, Donovan Mitchell and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I kind of wanted to pose a question to the fellas, like, in a playoff series, when the series starts, maybe you're down 2-1, maybe you're up 2-1. It's a tight game in game 4 or 5. Who do you trust to be the more impactful player in the playoffs? And people, don't let you start with this one.
This is tough, man, because Donovan Mitchell, I think he's one of the best, like, regular season combo guards in the league in the last 6-7 years, man. We saw it with Utah. We've seen it with Cleveland. Obviously, his teams in Utah, I mean, it was just him and Gobert and, a bunch of Jags, right, that we always like to refer to. This Cavs team has definitely improved year over year in the last 3 since getting this being the 3rd year with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland at that combination. They got their young big men. Obviously, we know about Jared Allen. But Evan Mobley, man, just absolutely carrying. So, but it's funny when you look at Donovan Mitchell's numbers, man. I mean, he's having a great year. I mean, he's averaging 24, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 45% shooting. That's down. 3rd year in a row he's been down since being on the Cavaliers, man. His efficiency has only declined. And he's shooting right around 40% from 3, which is great. It's actually the best 3-point shooting of his career. But he shoots – this is what shocked me. He shoots the same amount of 2s and 3s every game. 9 2s and 9 3s every single game. That's telling to me because, look, you hit 40% of those, that's great. But you're talking about comparing him to a guy like SGA, who's averaging 32, 6, and 5 on 52, damn near 53% field goal shooting, and still hits 37% of his threes. That's no scrub right there. That is an above average 3-point shooter. And he's only taking 5. Now, SGA gets 3 more shots a game, but it is heavily weighted in Donovan Mitchell towards 50-50. It's probably more like 70-30 for SGA. Give me the guy who's going to get to the hole, 9 free throws a game. I'm taking the guy that if I need a bucket, he can – and here's the thing. He can slow the game down at end of games because of his ability to be aggressive, get those foul calls, whether you agree with them or not. It does not matter. The NBA referees are going to call what they call. So if I'm going to favor the guy that he might be able to slow the game down, especially against a team like the Cavs that like to run, shoot, very quick offenses. I like SGA, man. I just think he's a bigger force that you have to deal with as an NBA defense compared to Donovan Mitchell, who might get a little 3 happy and is the kind of guy to go for the win when he's down 2. I know SGA will take his random 3s as well, but if he really needs to score, he could get that and 1 and get the 3-point play the old-fashioned way.
Like SGA right now, he's having his MVP caliber season. He's gonna get the award because Jokic got too much. SGA's got the first seed, so right now he's in line to win the MVP. Yep. You don't really bet against MVPs, but I guess I am gonna bet against an MVP because I'm going with Donovan Mitchell in the playoff. I've told you ever since the bubble. I remember we talked about this years ago. You seem like there's certain guys that rise to the occasion in the playoffs and has just a historical pedigree of just elevating their stats in the playoffs, and they don't really. When the lights get brightest, they get brighter. Like there's certain guys that do that, and Donovan Mitchell is one of those rare guys that done it. Like ever since his rookie year, like this dude's just always been elevating his stats in the playoffs. And as you mentioned, like he's like this year in the regular season, his points are down a little, 24 points a game. It's because his team is awesome. They don't need him to be putting up 28 a game. Especially now with DeAndre Hunter as that missing wing, 3-and-D wing guy. You got another guy that was averaging 18 points a game. You got him and Garland with Mobley and Jared Allen. Like the team is actually like on paper absolutely loaded. So D-Mitch don't need to drop 30 a game because this guy could definitely drop 30 a game because he has an alpha like scorer mentality. Like he ain't no point guard at all. He's a 2. He might look like a point with the 6'3" height, but he's a 2 guard, man. Like he's an absolute bucket getter. And as you mentioned, 9-3 attempts a game. Like this guy loves getting buckets. And maybe in the playoffs and the game slows down, you might have to dominate the game a little more. So for me personally, I'm just looking at playoff resume. 28 points a game in the playoffs. 28.
Look at his field goal and 3-point percent shooting. That's all I'll say.
They're low in the playoffs.
44%. That's because he was a high volume guy. He was a high volume guy on those Utah Jazz teams because his second best player is Rudy Gobert.
Exactly.
So when your second best player is a 0 on offense, you kind of like the hero Derrick Rose, but like where I gotta just shoot everything. Like who was his offer? Joe Ingles?
I'm not talking. I'm talking about the last 2 Cavs years. 28% from 3, 35% from 3. He is lowering his efficiency in both of them with this team. 43% from the field, 47 last year was.
You can argue maybe his teammates weren't as good back then.
That's the thing.
Like Garland or Mobley,
at first,
they're more mature now.
The young player, right? Evan Mobley is going to exponential turnover. Okay, he's a player now. Because I remember in some of those playoff games, Evan Mobley was like a 0 on offense because his jump shot was whack. Like he ain't really got no post-up moves. He's more of just a rim runner defender. And Jared Allen, you know what he said? The lights were too bright for him. So then, so pretty much these young guys had to mature. Darius Garland needed to stay healthy. Like him as pretty much a point guard. And I'm telling you, this DeAndre Hunter acquisition brings physicality, brings shooting, and brings a 3-and-D. Like they had D Wade out there being that guy. Karis LeVert, you know my thoughts about Karis LeVert. Low IQ guy. He get buckets off the bench, but you ain't gonna win at him as a small forward playing against a Jason Tatum or a Giannis Antetokounmpo. You need a guy like a DeAndre Hunter to match up against these big wings in the playoffs right now. So I feel like Donovan Mitchell is in that situation where we've seen the resume in the playoffs that he's a big time performer. Now this is his best team of his career. Even though they had that Jazz team that won all those games, that was fool's gold. That was absolute fool's gold. This team he's on was built perfectly around him. The complementary players, the secondary ball handler, the defensive players that D-Mitch might not be the most elite defensive player, but he's got a long wingspan. So I feel like his time right now, especially in the Eastern Conference right now, it is bright and ready for this guy to take over because Celtics back-to-back to the finals, extremely, extremely tough going back-to-back years in the pretty much long playoff runs right now. So this Cavaliers team, based on the regular season, is legit. SGA, I know you mentioned the free throw. People, you know what happens in the playoffs? Free throws get called less, man. It just happens. People hold their whistle a little more. It happens all the time. They allow more physicality. So maybe they hear about this SGA. Maybe the coach complains about SGA like getting foul calls. They're like, we already seen it happen in the regular season. People calling SGA with his Harden antics, the Trae Young antics, like just manipulating the ref manipulation that these guys master and just gaming the system. And the playoffs refs like swallowing whistles. So maybe he'll be a little less efficient. Last year, SGA, I remember he balled out. He put up 30 points a game on 49% shooting. So last year he was
52 now.
Yeah. So last year SGA balled on the playoffs, but I think his playoff resume for me, I'm like, I need to see a couple more playoff berths and see how he performs in the playoffs, especially now. We're going to see some teams right now in the play. Like, I want to see him against like a Denver, against a Lakers team, which is cooking absolutely right now. So play against a more vet-heavy team. And you saw what happened last year against a Luka Doncic where he went home in that series. So SGA right now, like, we'll see with this foul drawing antics if that can translate in the playoffs. Because as you mentioned, he's not a big high volume 3-point shooter. Gets most of his points in the paint. And you know what's the paint is? Physicality. It hurts in the playoffs a little more, just a little more in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell because he's playoff ready, and this team is built just perfectly around him. I think their time is now. They cashed their chips in at the trade deadline. Their time is now. OKC, I still don't know how they're that good and that young. Like, this team's age could be the age of some college basketball team's age. It's like pretty much them redshirt.
They might be younger.
It's actually how ahead of schedule they are, just based on the age guidance. Because Chet Holmgren rookie contract, Jalen Williams rookie contract, like all their best complimentary players outside of Shai are on their rookie contracts. Like, it's incredible what they've done. So SGA last year, we saw a little quick peek of him, but let's see if he can make a deep playoff run now because I want to see multiple playoff series, man.
Yeah, because I mean, real quick, and then Sean, sorry, but they both only made the semis. Both these guys have never made it past the semifinals, man. I mean, how many years Donovan Mitchell? I think he's made the playoffs every single year of his career, maybe one off, 6, and he's never played more than 11 games in the playoffs. SGA played 10 last year. I mean, that was his first legitimate. I know he was on the Clippers, for a moment. They might have even made the playoffs once.
Yeah, he was more of a role player
as an 8 seed in like 2019 or 2020. Yeah, but it's starting to get a point with Donovan Mitchell that he needs to actually get to a conference finals. The Thunder can still get away with not making it, but they're both 1 seeds. It is a loss of a season if these two teams don't make the conference.
Yeah, they need to. Sure. It's a must. It's a must this year.
At least. Yep.
We
know they want Cavs Lakers. Come on, guys. We know they want Cavs Lakers.
That would be insane. That would be insane. But to your point, the pressure definitely is more so on Donovan. Just because of he's been in the playoffs and to your point, always got to the semis, and he's considered one of those, elite type players in the league. So it's like once you, get to the playoffs and don't go past a certain round, people are going to be like, are you as good as you think you are? I think the key, and my answer is Donovan Mitchell. I would say I'm probably a prisoner of the moment because I happen to watch the Cavs, or not the Cavs game, but the Cavs and Celtics game, and Drew Holiday was not playing and Franchinse was out, whatever. But if you just look at what Donovan Mitchell was doing against the Celtics, like career, he's averaging 30, 35, and 5 against the Celtics. It's something about the Celtics that he does not like. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something because they say he's from New York. Maybe it's a Knicks Celtics thing. I don't know. But he does not like the Celtics. So anytime he plays them, he goes off. So my thing I've always said about Donovan Mitchell is, and this is not even really my theory, everybody talks about this when the playoffs come. It's like, well, what do we want when we want a playoff roster? We want defense, obviously, team defense. We want guys to make timely shots, but we also want big wing guys to make critical plays on both sides of the ball. Like, yes, you want team defense, but you want your wing to make the critical stop, and you want your wing to make the critical play or shot, layup, whatever, and one. And as we've seen in the playoffs, really, when you're talking about maybe Steph, Isaiah Thomas way back in the day, when you're talking about guards who is the dominant player on the team, like Steph is known as the dominant player for the Golden State Warriors. On this Cavs team, they go as Donovan Mitchell goes. People always be like, well, can you win with a guy who's a guard? I don't know, man. When I watch Donovan Mitchell play, he's a wing guy. And even though he's short in stature, his wingspan makes up for it. He is not shaped. Yeah, he's not shaped like a normal point guard. Yeah. He honestly could, if I would love to see like just him under a rim and put his hand up to see how far his hand goes. Like is he maybe touching the rim or touching half of the net? Like his wingspan is so out of whack that he is like a 6'5" wing out there. And I think that's, enough size to where I think those type of players can win in the playoffs. Like you said with Donovan, I think the key with him is going to be trusting his teammates. Part of the reason, like Zhu pointed out, why he was less efficient is because Gobert was your second scorer. Like he's not a scorer. So you're going to chuck more.
3 years ago now. We got to take that.
Yeah, it's exactly.
He's in the third year with the Cavs now.
But to the point we also made is Evan Mobley had to learn how to be more than just a rim runner and a guy who is just going to be a defensive presence. Like Evan Mobley has shaped his game to where, they're running offense through him now. He can go get his own shot now. Like he's a different player. And sometimes with guys who are 6'11", 7 feet, it takes time for them. Darius Garland, part of his issue is just, can he stay healthy? Now we see, I was watching that game as well. Darius Garland is a problem in terms of staying in front of, like his handles are so good that he is going to get past you and it's going to deter. And once you get to the lane, it's going to be either he's going to make a sick pass or he's going to make a crazy layup. He's that good, right? So I think that what's going to be the part for Donovan that he has to key on is picking his spots. It happens all the time in the playoffs. Like, do you know how to pick your spots and not do too much? Because if we're being honest, I mean, I don't know what the percentages are, but more than likely it's going to be Boston versus Cleveland in the conference finals.
Yep.
I'm going to need Donovan to your point. He better hit 35 and 5 that he's averaging in the regular season. I need to see that in the playoffs. You might need to go to maybe 35. But while you're getting that 35, are you picking your spots? Are you making timely shots? What are you doing to make it in that situation, make it a more competitive series? Because I know Cleveland beat them, and I know some people were injured, but I do think Boston's like, we'll see y'all in the playoffs. Like, we're not worried about you right now.
5 games last year, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, when the pressure comes and you got to go play Tatum and you got to go play Brown and they may D you up a little bit differently, are you going to be able to answer that call? And I think Donovan can do that. Versus with Shai, I do appreciate his ability to get to the line. I do appreciate his ability to lead that team. But to me, I think what the biggest factor with them in playoff success is going to be how Jalen Williams performs. Because everybody knows what Shai is going to do. But I think the only way they're going to have a chance in the playoffs is if Jalen Williams plays as another number 2 scorer, like a bona fide number 2 scorer. Because Chet, it's going to be hard for me to depend on him because he just came back injured. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how effective he's going to be this year. But their key is going to be if Jalen Williams play like an all-star. If he doesn't play like an all-star, they're going to lose. Because Shai's not going to be able to carry the entire load. And I'm not saying Shai can't, but to Zhu's point, you don't get the whistle. It's a reason why guys like Harden, and there's obviously other reasons why he's failed in the playoffs, not just because he couldn't get foul calls, but there are guys who are, let's just say, foul baiters in that regular season who struggle. Yeah, another reason.
Like Embiid can't make it through a playoff. So
well, he can't ever stay healthy. So yeah, but even when he was healthy, he is and it's weird because it's like I said, as a guy who likes Embiid, it's like you're 7'3" and you have an advantage on most nights. Like, why are you foul baiting? But the guys who do that don't happen in the playoffs. So Shai, I think it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts. I mean, it's not to say he won't. His mid-range game is so good and he can shoot the 3. Like, he'll adjust fine. But Donovan Mitchell, his attacking style, I like to see. It's just pick your spots. That's all I want. It's pick your spots. Don't try to be a chucker. I don't think he should be going like if he's getting 35 or 30, it needs to be efficient. I don't want to see 30 points on 28 shots. I don't. Because they're not going to win any series that way. You got Darius Garland, who's matured, and Evan Mobley is a guy who's very matured now. So to your point, DeAndre Hunter. And DeAndre, you got guys you can trust now. So don't feel like you got to do it all. Because that was part of the reason why he left Utah is because Gobert is my second option. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And two, I mean, maybe he didn't want to live in Utah, but I mean, Cleveland's not any better, so whatever. But I'm just saying.
What we're saying though is that they all need their teammates, right, to win series. But we're asking, who do you trust with the game on the line to close a game out? That was the question, right?
And I think Donovan definitely can do that. Yeah. He's just an explosive. I don't think he had. Shai can't get to the level scoring wise that Donovan can. Donovan is a different type of dude. Because I don't think Shai, like, and this is very just black and white, but I just think Donovan's a way better athlete. And he can just, when it's playoff time, he's going to be able to get out of a jam and get a play. Shai is very angle based. So if you got it, Tatum and Brown had trouble staying in front of Mitchell, and those are two of the better defenders in the league.
Yeah,
that says a lot for a 6'2" guard. So I don't know.
I think Drew Holiday took it a little personally how Donovan Mitchell was treating that series last year.
I love Drew
Holiday takes it personal. I'm sorry, he's up there with the Gary Payton in a glove.
He is, but how old is Drew Holiday now?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
He just needs to stay healthy. That's the whole thing with them. He's been out a lot.
I'm just gonna put him on the med report. I'll tell you that right now.
I agree.
if he think, like I said, it's going to be a group effort with the Celtics in terms of stopping Donovan.
This Cavs team it's giving me Atlanta Hawks vibes.
No, it's way different.
No, I know. I shouldn't say that. Their starting five is not
Kyle Korver team.
Yes, I'm not saying the equivalent of it. I'm just saying I don't think they're making the conference finals.
Oh wow!
No,
wow.
What if they have to play Giannis?
Who's going to give them issues? No, listen, okay, that's different. You know how I feel about Giannis. There's no that can match up with Giannis, but the sum of the team.
That's possible.
Giannis Garrett Allen is getting abused. And then it won't matter if Donovan Mitchell's putting up 35 a game because he's going to have to panic shoot 12 threes a game. I don't like his ratio. That's what scares me.
That's the only team, though.
He shoots too many threes.
Too many threes. He's going to have to dial back. To Sean's point, if he's putting up 30 a game and he's taking 15 shots, and he's getting 5 free throws a game. 18 shots?
Yes.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. And then Garland gives you 20 and Mobley gives you 18. You're probably going to win most series unless you have to play Giannis or unless you have to play the Celtics.
Well, Giannis is a bad matchup for a lot of people because he's Giannis. But I'm just saying, outside of him and, again, I'm being swayed by what I saw Friday. It's like, dude, they played the Celtics well. So it was like, I know the Celtics don't care, but it's like you can't keep saying that when Donovan, especially Donovan, played, like he goes off when he plays the Celtics. It'd be different if like Darius Garland was going off for Evan Mobley. It's like, I know that was last year, but I think Mobley was not the player. There's talks about if like Mobley was on another team, he would be the focal point and he would be like an all-star level player. That's how much better.
And now we got to see him do it in the playoffs. He hasn't done it yet.
I want to see the offensive package because he kind of reminds me like maybe like a Bam, like just a limited offensive play.
Yeah, he's got a better skill set than Bam. He just needs to show it. He definitely just even how he moves. I think he could be better than Bam. But to your point, the playoffs are a different animal.
Like a prototype. Like I don't think you could be like a go-to guy as a scorer. Like
no,
because see, everybody gets spoiled by like we see KD. There's just not gonna be KD is really the real anomaly. We got to stop. And I've done this, like, I think with guys who are 7 feet and if they can shoot just a little bit, we think like, oh, their ceiling is KD is like, no, it's not. KD is so rare that a 7-footer is that fluid and can dribble. That is not normal. Even Wemby, as good and as athletic as he is moving around, he don't look like KD when he moves.
No.
KD is a little different. So it's like I even think like, Evan Mobley, I think he could be maybe like KD. He's like, we don't have a lot of guys who are that tall and can move and shoot and move like a guard. So like we kind of think, to your point, like Bam is a nice comp, like a Bam on steroids.
Be his level of player. I think that's
20 and 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they got, to your point, they need to start winning because Bill's gonna come due on those guys. Like, I mean, you can't keep Garland, you can't keep Mobley, you can't keep Mitchell. Like,
their window's closing. Sean, this is my thing. Their window's closing, and they haven't shown me anything. It's like if you made the conference finals and you forced 6, I'd be like, okay, you come back next year, they're probably going to be damn good.
Like the Celtics, yeah.
Yeah, the Celtics have been for years, right? And they finally came due. And if the team that good took that long to get due, I don't know. But I'm not saying the Thunder are
excuses this year. Yeah,
the Thunder
they have no excuses.
Neither team should be exiting before the semifinals.
They should both be in the conference finals. Yeah. Especially the Cavs, because to your point, it's Giannis, and then like you said, you whooping up on the Celtics. Yeah. Don't be playing around. I don't want to see you in a scrap with Orlando Magic or whatever. Like
Pacers or something like that.
No. Please no. You gotta take care of business. Giannis would be interesting though, because playing against Giannis,
and Dame.
Yeah, and Dame's
playoff Dame
too. Yeah,
like I said, he's proven, even though he hadn't got to. Has he got 2-0? Oh, he sure could. And he's got to conference finals, right?
Yeah. Yes, he got swept, but he got there.
Yeah.
So that we're gonna be looking out for the Cavs and the Thunder and seeing how they perform in this year's playoffs. But transitioning really quickly to the NFL, like I said, we're getting close to the free agent space where a lot of teams are going to be spending money for players that will hopefully change their fortunes and maybe get some teams to the playoffs, or maybe some teams sign some guys who are overpaid and it'll be a reason why they don't make the playoffs. But we saw recently Deebo get traded to the Commanders for, I think, a 5th-round pick. And we also saw Tee Higgins get the franchise tag, which most of us think that's going to be a franchise tag along with the trade. So, Zhu, what are your thoughts on the Deebo to the Commanders, and then your thoughts on where maybe the T saga goes with the Bengals?
For me personally, 1-year deal. That's what I like to hear.
Yep.
When you put in a 1-year deal contract, low risk. And what's the reward? He might push you over the top and win a Super Bowl in 1 year, because who knows? Because right now, they're just like, let's load up as much talent as we can around this special rookie. Because when you're on a rookie contract, this is the time when you got cap space to play with. Like, what else you can use your cap space on right now? What do they give up? 5th-round pick or something? So not a material pick, because that was like a 1st-round pick for a 1-year contract. No, like Deebo obviously coming off not his best year, so they're kind of buying low on Deebo Samuels right now, and him. And the thing is, they're not asking to be a number 1. They're asking to be a number 2, because Scary Terry is still number 1 receiver in that offense, right? Especially with the chemistry with Daniel. So they just ask him to be kind of a wide back for this team as a second receiver, maybe have some creativity, fake the run to Deebo, Jaden Daniels, just pretty much add some additional creativity in this offense right now. So for me personally, like the Commanders right now, like, okay, we played that Eagles team tougher than the Chiefs did.
Yeah,
tougher than the Chiefs did, and that team thought they were going to win a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So right now we're like, they're thinking we're not that far off. We are not that far off to make a potential Super Bowl appearance with our 2nd-year rookie. So why not put some of your draft capital again? Get a guy that show him spots. This guy is a special player when he gets the ball in his hands, and use him as a running back in a lot of situations. With aging Austin Eckler, like I love Austin Eckler. Back in his prime, that dude was an absolute monster. But he's definitely getting up there in age now. So I think Deebo might get a couple of more of those Austin Eckler touches as the passing back, receiving back, because he can catch and run too. So I think that's the type of role he's going to fill for this offense. And for me personally, I like teams when they get a special player. Okay, let's put some chips in and let's win some games. Don't wait, right? Especially with the NFL, man. Like you got your quarterback. First thing, you got to get the quarterback. They already got that. That's the hard part. Now putting the chips and surround them with as much talent as you can and see what happens. Because Jesus Christ, like Daniels right now, like John, man, this guy's special. Like when I watch him, like, man, this guy's a rookie. Like, God damn, the poise, man, even in the playoffs, he wasn't just like a regular season guy, right? He balls on the regular season playoffs, fades away. Man, he balled the hell out in the playoffs. Even when he lost, I was like, he's playing pretty damn well right now. So give him a Deebo.
Fumbles, that's a different game.
Exactly. Those turnovers by his teammates pretty much cost him an opportunity to have a significantly closer game. So for me personally, this guy is in his. He might have come in his prime. There's not many plays you can say that. He just came in and he was like, man, this guy is just making some unreal plays. So obviously this next season we'll see what happens, because they won a lot of clutch games, as you know. A lot of clutch games that might not go their way in the regular season again, so they might not have as many wins. But for me personally, right now, you add a talent like him, and let's ride, baby. Let's ride with Jaden Daniels. So for me, phenomenal value for the asset you got in Deebo Samuels, because obviously he's an injury risk, and if he falls off a cliff, because maybe he's aging as a running back, because the way he plays, that physicality.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he doesn't play like normal receivers and getting all those hits. Yeah, exactly. Like the hamstrings, like he always has some lower body extremity injury. So if he gets injured, okay, you took a chance, maybe he misses the season. Okay, it only cost you a late 5th round pick. So I'm like, for me personally, low risk, high reward for me.
I was literally just gonna say
low risk, high reward. Like this is
Agreed.
a no brainer trade for me. So phenomenal job getting this deal done quickly because free agency class, like outside, like who could you get in free agency that's the caliber of Deebo Samuels?
No,
like you guys think anyone? Like I don't think anyone like that could be a significant day
they'd have
one
to spend
impact.
up their 1st round pick probably on a wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. So like for me personally, like you got to add some assets to this team right now and putting just a little chip in the middle. I'm like, okay, let's ride, baby. Because
unless they had held out and traded for Tee Higgins, man.
Okay.
Maybe the asking price would have been.
Yeah. That I know you guys. I'm not the biggest Tee Higgins fan, as you guys know. I think he's a great 2. He's a great 2. I know you guys think he might be a 1 because you play with the Jamar, you're going to be a default 2 because Jamar Chase might be the best receiver in the NFL. So, there's no shame being a 2 to Jamar Chase. And he's tall. He's like 6'4". He can do the jump balls. Like, he has those big nuclear games where he's a red zone guy. So, maybe he just needs to shine his wings. But for me personally, I'm like, are you going to give up a haul for him? Like, pretty much like, what kind of haul is Tee Higgins going to ask for? Because if it's going to be, let's say, like a 2nd round pick. Would you trade a 2nd round pick?
That'd be the highest. Would you
trade a 2nd round pick?
Like,
yeah.
The comparison I was going to make was when the Bears traded for Brandon Marshall. Remember that?
Yeah, but Brandon Marshall was showing that he was an alpha receiver 1.
Yeah, he was a 1, but if you compare the numbers, like yards per catch, games played yards, it's very similar, and they gave up 2/3 for him.
2/3.
So I would say I'd probably give him like a 3rd and a 5th for Tee Higgins.
3rd and a 5th.
3rd, 5th, 3rd, and 4th. Maybe.
Like if it's a 2nd round pick, I think that's a little too pricey. Like
I don't
think I don't mean that. You think it's good as AJ Brown?
No, but AJ Brown could warrant a 1st.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I mean, none of those guys are not gonna. I mean, honestly, they're probably all gonna be 2nd. Is gonna be the highest you get.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm thinking about Jaden Daniels' ascension, if we're talking about the Commanders, and we're talking about now how I look at Tee Higgins, like I think he's a low end receiver 1. Yeah, because the guy that I'm going to draft in the 2nd round as a receiver is probably not going to be as good as Tee Higgins. Now, 1st round, maybe, because those guys usually come in and could be dominant.
Immediate.
But I don't know what the guys this year in the draft this year. They're not saying this is a crazy like a crazy receiver draft. So yeah, I'm giving up a 2nd for T. If I only got to give up 1 now, if you're telling me, hey, I want a 2nd and a 5th, nah, I'm out. I'm hanging up the phone. But if you just say 1 second, yeah, I'm giving it up for T. That's just 1 2nd rounder. I'm good. T has proven to be a really, really good receiver.
Like pretty much this value for this type of receiver. This is like saying he's a receiver 1. I got a young rookie. I got a young quarterback, and this is going to help blossom this young quarterback and help.
Would he be that with Washington?
Make the game easier.
Would he be that with Washington though, with Terry? Like if he goes to now, okay, if you're taking it off of Washington, you're just saying to other teams. I would understand why. Okay, a 2nd might be too high.
Like Drake May. Like if
I would give him the Drake
receiver, they're gonna give up a good draft compensation. You think it's worth it for that?
I would give him a 2nd for Drake May. Who's the head coach there? Vrabel. He would be in Vrabel's office every day, sitting outside saying, sir, give up the 2nd for T. And then in the 4th round, go give me another receiver or something.
Remember,
yes,
he drafted AJ Brown, Mike Vrabel. He knows his wide receivers, man. They know.
Like nobody's saying he's AJ Brown. Let's not get it twisted. He's not AJ, but he's on that 10 to 15 fringe where if he got more opportunities, he could be great. Like you said, it's just hard because we see him against Chase, and Chase is not even the best receiver in his league. He is going to go down as maybe a top 10 receiver ever. So that's a different comparison. It's just hard to be against the guy.
For these guys,
yeah, it's like it's if T would have played with.
Here you go.
I'm trying to think of another dominant.
Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden. That is the example.
Right there you go.
Larry Fitzgerald was Jamar Chase. Anquan Bolden, who was a Hall of Famer in his own right by the end of his career, was always the 2 for a long time, for about 10 years under Larry Fitzgerald. And then he still went out and did his own thing, blah, blah, blah. We know what his Ravens tenure, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good example. Yes.
That's the Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase situation. First ballot Hall of Famer and a potential like 3rd to 4th ballot if they
not going to get a 1st.
To play.
Not going to get a 1st from me, but you'll you'll get a second. But that's it. You're not getting anything.
The second pick for the Patriots is the 36th overall pick. They'll give him a third.
Well, yeah, it depends on where you're picking in the second round. Like if I had a mid-second round pick, then yeah, I would give that up. But if it's a top end of, because that's basically a first round pick if it's a pick 33 or whatever. And
listen to this, Sean. If he goes to the Patriots and at 4 they take Travis Hunter, you got Christian Gonzalez and Travis Hunter playing corner, or you could have Tee Higgins and Travis Hunter playing wide receiver, or you could mix them both within each game. That's helping Drake May on both sides of the ball.
He needs the talent,
and they have the highest cap. They have the most cap space they can afford.
And look what he did with, like, look what Drake May did. And I just know this because I had him in fantasy. Like, look how he revived Hunter Henry. Like, he made Hunter Henry viable. So I think if he has a guy like Tee Higgins, he could get him to a point where, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot of places that T can go. But to your point, if it's a pick 33, 34, 35, I'm probably not giving that up. But if it's pick 41 or pick 40, like, if you're let's just say, like, I know the Steelers feel weird about George Pickens. Like, maybe they don't want to pay him because he's a knucklehead. If I'm the Steelers and I know I'm not going to pay George Pickens, give me T.
They're not trading him to Pittsburgh.
I'm just saying, if they could, they would do that. But yeah, you're not going to give him to your rival. But there's new, like, why could he not go? Like, Bryce showed some life in the Patriots. Oh yeah, the Bills will be another one. He can fit a lot of places, man. And the Bills should give up a second round pick if you got Josh Allen.
Okay, if you're the Bills, I can understand that.
Yeah, there you go.
I would want to see that combination. I would want to see that red zone connection.
Yeah, like there's now that I'm thinking about it, really the teams that suck, you may not want to give up like a second round pick, an early second round pick, because they're going to second round pick. But like if you're a contending team, you should give up compensation. Now, if you're telling me, hey, do we have to pick between a Myles Garrett or T? I would pick a Myles Garrett because he's going to affect more, because it's just the defensive end is proven that if you have a dominant defensive end, you're going to be in a lot of games. But if you have leadway and you have a guy who's established at quarterback, like I think with Carolina, you should be looking at Tee Higgins. Bryce showed a lot of promise. You got Xavier Legette, who was injured a little bit throughout the year, but he's made some big plays. He needs to learn how to hold on to the ball a little bit more. And I'm biased because he went to South Carolina, but he's got the profile. You put him in receiver 2 and T at receiver 1. Those are two, like, Leggett 6'2", T 6'4". Bryce is now what is one of his better traits is a guy who's smaller, who can throw that goal ball. You got two guys that can go get it. Like, there's a lot of options. I just think, obviously, he's not staying in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati shouldn't even be like these theories that's going around about them paying. Like, no. You pay Jamar Chase. I don't know what you do with Hendrickson, and I don't know, get some guys on the staff who can draft better and get a better team around Burrow. But you got to pay Chase. You can't pay both. That would be malpractice if you pay both. Even if Chase is like, I'll take a discount, which he won't, but he's like, I'll take no, you're not paying both. You just paid full freight for Chase.
Last season.
And then, it's like even with last season, I know they lost to the Patriots, so it's like, you deserve not to make the playoffs. But even if they did make the playoffs, like, like, no. I just think there's options for T. But with Deebo, I think it's, to your point, it's easy. It's 1 year rental.
Great.
And if Deebo wants to get paid, if they want to get paid after that, he is going to have to play and stay healthy.
They have a 2-year window. They have a 2-year window right now.
For sure.
Terry McLaurin's 30 years old. Deebo is probably
29. He's like 29, I think.
Yeah, but he's equal to about 31 because to Zhu's point, he plays the running back position. So he's aging a lot faster than most quality wide receivers. I think if they're smart, they focus completely on their defense in the draft and free agency. That they got exploited a little bit here and there on the defensive side, even though they were kind of middle, maybe 15 to 20th in the NFL. But man, I think what they can't neglect is drafting a young wide receiver. I know they like De'Ami Brown a little bit, but I think they should take in the 3rd, 4th round, just take a good wide receiver. He can learn under 2 solid veterans. And Terry McLaurin, Deebo, borderline Hall of Famer. Terry McLaurin's probably a Hall of Famer. That if you can mentor him, because you will need to somehow succeed those 2 guys in the next 2 to 3 years. And if you can start that early, they got to do that. But they're going all in, man.
I think
they're going to regress.
Deebo,
I'll tell you that right now.
I think them getting Deebo also is signifying, like, maybe they go receiver, but maybe they don't, and they just kind of fortify, like how they did with Mahomes. Like, let's get make sure the offensive line is solid, and let's get some defensive guys, because that was really their defense played in and over their head. I don't think the defense is that good. They may need some, like I said, they might be in a Myles Garrett sweepstakes, or they might, I don't know what their draft position is and stuff like that, but they could be looking at defensive players because you're going to want to build up that defense to where when the bill is due for Jaden and you can't pay these receivers anymore, your defense will be solid enough to where, okay, he can still win us games and just not make mistakes, and the defense can do whatever because you built the team around him. But it is going to be interesting to see what Kingsbury does with Deebo because he is pretty creative.
He's a great
play caller. Yeah. And if he does well enough, I'm pretty sure he will be on the coaching carousel and probably get another head coaching job. So it's going to be a lot of incentive for him to do well because he probably will be back on the market coaching wherever. So, yeah, excited to see what Deebo does in an offense and excited to see who actually ponies up and pays for T. Like I said, it probably is going to be around a third and fourth or fifth attached. Just depends on who it is. Just depends on who it is.
Someone's going to get a steal. Someone's going to get a steal.
Yeah, somebody's going to get a steal. And it will be pretty interesting if he lands with like a contender. That's going to
Zoo, you don't have to take him in fantasy, man. I'll take Tee Higgins as a wide receiver.
I'm telling you, someone drafts Tee Higgins in front of him, like, yes. Every time.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like your Allen Robinson. I know that. That was Depot for me this past year.
Yeah, you never know. I know a lot of people are not going to be missing out on Jamar, that's for sure. So that's almost a slam dunk. But I will say he might have, in the words of Zoo, a regression to the mean after a triple crown. So who knows?
He ain't doing that again. That's all
he might have a regression to the
1,717.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Absurd.
Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, NFL free agency is coming up a little bit later. Like I said, they just got off the combine. A lot of guys showing out. Like I said, this podcast will be following all of the happenings with the NBA, March Madness, NFL free agency, the whole nine. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Quantrill Knows, on Instagram, Tyson Talks _ TikTok, Tyson Talks _. Make sure you listen to us on Spotify, Apple. Give us a 5-star review. And if you're on YouTube, like our video so we can get in the algorithms. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we are out.